Welcome back everyone. In today's video I want to cover game 36 of a first book of Morphy. We have Paul Morphy with the black pieces against Daniel Harwitz. Took place in the 7th match game of Paris 1858 and Paul Morphy plays the Dutch defense. So we have Paul Morphy playing f5, and here just the author notes that this creates an unbalanced position immediately but weakens the king side. Okay. Okay, so again, black intends to play bishop to b7 and to help attack the e4 square. Knight g to e2, and here the author comments it leaves the f pawn free to fight for center control. So later on, the pawn can go to f3 or f4, while the knight can go to g3 or f4 as well. Okay, bishop captures f6, bishop captures f6, castle, queen e7, queen d2, and d6. Again, opens the square for the knight, so now I can go d7 now and develop. f4, and again here the author comments that this move looks like a bit of a stretch, and he recommends that white should have gone f3 with the following line: c5, d5 by white, knight a6, and then e4. Here the author just says that this seems more focused. Instead, white goes f4, c5 by black, d5 by white, and here the author comments on this move that white should not disturb the central balance here. White benefits from black capturing with c captures on d4 and e captures on d4. So this move here, let's say if white plays rook a to d1, then now if black captures, this is beneficial to white because now white captures and his pawns are in the center here. Instead with d5, again here the author says d5 neither makes a threat nor creates space for white's pieces because black controls d4, and rook a to d1 develops while keeping white's options open. So we have knight a6, d captures on e6, and here the author recommends that white should have gone with e4, a line like this, that this is a better position for white. So we have d captures on e6, queen captures on e6, rook a to e1, bishop h4, knight g3, and again here black can take on g3 and doubles white's pawns. Black decides to go queen g6 first. Here the author comments the position is so close that black opted to coordinate his pieces rather than capture on g3. Knight d5, and again for me, when I was kind of guessing what should white do here, well, I was thinking if white doesn't want to get doubled pawns, then he can play knight to e2, defending the knight. If bishop captures, then the knight recaptures, and then white maintains his kingside pawn structure intact. Right. Here the author comments, again, knight c to e2 did not mesh with white's intent, so white's intent was going to knight to d5. Okay, so bishop captures on d5, c captures on d5, bishop captures g3, h captures on g3, and then knight to c7. Now again, here black could have taken, right? Black takes and rook to f3, kicks the queen out, and then what's next? I mean, the queen goes back, and then now rook to h3, with the other rook coming to the f file, following kind of the same path. However, black decides to go knight to knight a to c7, getting the knight in the game. King f2, rook a to e8, rook h1, rook e7. Again, here the author says that by doing the rook lift to e7, it opens up a square for the knight to go to e7 or the rook to go to e7 or to e8. And here it just recommends that the knight should go first because it takes the knight a couple of moves to get to their to its position compared to the rook. Again, all the rook has to slide over one move, and he's already in the file. Rook h4, queen f7. Now again, here the threat with rook h4, because a bishop is pinning the pawn, now white is able to play g4. And now the pawn cannot capture, because if pawn captures, then the bishop captures the queen. So that's why the queen goes to f7. And then bishop d3 to e2. That leaves the d3 square open for the queen. And now the bishop can go to f3 or to h5, attacking the queen. Now, again, here the author notes that bishop c2 is more consistent, right? So instead of going to e2, here bishop c2 maintains a target on f5, and also if that pawn disappears, it's going to hit the h7 pawn. So here the author gives an example of a line that could happen. And here it just says that black is winning, right? So king captures on f4, then rook captures. Then here on the queen side, we have 4 pawns against 2. Should be a winning endgame for black. So we have knight to e8, queen d3. And here the author just comments that white starts to drift. Maybe perhaps white is feeling a bit discouraged. Again, here it kind of just gives an examples. If white were to double up here, then black can just play h6 and block this attack on the h file. Black also has knight f6, right, targeting these squares. So it's defending, is protecting from the pawn push here. So black does go knight f6, bishop f3, g6, rook e2. Now perhaps white wants to go e4, right? And again, with this move, remember, with this move, now the bishop is blocked. So if the bishop goes here, it gets taken by the pawn. So now black can also play g5 to make a threat on g4 and trap the light squared bishop. So black goes rook e8. And here the author just comments that this is a patient move. Black could have also gone g5. And that this line here reveals many flaws in white's position. Where rook f is ready to go to e8. And then the queen is ready to go to g7. Instead, black plays a patient move with rook e8. Rook f to e8. Now here, white plays pawn to b3. I don't know what he was thinking, but this move, the author comments that this move helps, is more useful for black because black will take advantage of this diagonal. So now if you see this diagonal open, you can go queen to g7, which is what black does in this position. Again, with this move, black prevents a skewer on h5. So if the bishop were to, again, black is trying to prepare g5 as well. So if the black comes here with a bishop h5, now there is no skewer because the queen is not here anymore. Now the rook can go to f8. What this move also does is to prepare these squares for the queen in the future. In case something happens, the queen can give a check on b2 or a1 if the rook is no longer there. Again, in the author's terms, queen a1 and queen b2 are long-term prospects. So rook h1, h6, preparing g5, king g1, g5, f captures on g5, pawn captures on g5, bishop h5 now. And here, you can pause the video, right? There is a mating thread here from black. So you can pause the video, try to find the move that you can play that if white captures on e8 with the bishop, then you have a checkmating threat. Okay, so the move here is knight e4. And again, if bishop captures on e8, then we have queen a1 check. The knight covers the f2 square, so king to h2, rook h7 check, bishop h5 to defend, rook captures on h5 is checkmate. And again, knight e4, black plays knight e4 with that checkmating threat. However, white seizes and plays rook e1, defending the checkmate. Now black gets out of the way with rook f8, bishop f3, knight captures on g3, rook h3, and queen e5 again defends the knight and also prepares g5 for a pawn fork. Now again, if black just played it right away, then black takes a knight. After you take the bishop, you lose the queen. So with queen e5, black prepares a pawn fork. Rook h6, g4, bishop d1, king g7, rook h4, rook h8. We have captures here, bishop c2, rook h7, queen d2, queen b2. Now, what black is threatening here is, let's say we have a4, then this was black's threat, right? Now, if the queen wasn't here, the bishop could just take, and that's over. The knight check is over. But now when bishop takes, again, white loses the queen. So this was the reason behind queen to b2. So white goes rook d1. Now we have rook h1, king f2. And then here, Paul Morphy goes rook f1. King captures on g3, queen e5, queen h4. And then here is what Paul Morphy thought he had a checkmate with. Right, so after king h4, he was going to go king g7. Then rook captures on f1. Queen h2 check. King to g5. Queen h6 check. Now here he thought he had a checkmate, but he forgot that white could capture on f5 with the king. And again, black sacrificed a piece, the rook, for a checkmating threat, and there was none, right? He missed this resource from white. King captures f5. So, during the game, and again, it's what happens to myself. It happens probably to you if you're watching, that you maybe calculate a sequence, a 3-move sequence, and then when that sequence happens, you don't double check, right? You just kind of play it very fast, and you don't double check to make sure that it is indeed correct and that your opponent doesn't have any resources. So in the game, Paul Morphy realized this and settled for a perpetual draw. So this game ended in a draw. The blunder here was rook f1. Now if we go here to the computer analysis, I'm just going to cover here the blunders. So here, it's a very close position, plus 0.4. Yeah, plus 0.4 for white. And with bishop to e2, shows minus 1.4 for black. And here, the move for white, it was, again, this is a Stockfish line, g4, right, with an example of a continuation by Stockfish. Now, again, the blunder of the next blunder, which was at the end, is rook f1 is a blunder. Now here it gives a position of minus 3.9 for black. After rook f1, the position is equal. So the correct move was rook captures on d1, queen captures on d1, and then here we have different variations. Knight e4, king e1, and we have this possible variation. After queen takes, we have also this variation as well. This one is from Stockfish. The knight e4 one was from the author. So let's go ahead go over the Stockfish line. And here again, it's -4 for black. Again, that is it for this video. Let me know what you thought of this video, and I will see you all in the next one.